Start. There you go. Well, like I say, I was only 17 years old. And I was in between my junior and senior year here at the Great Falls High School, public high school. And the counselor called me in one day and said I had a job. And this really kind of tickled me in a way, or I was really kind of confused because I hadn't even been looking for a job. So, okay, so here it comes out of nowhere saying I have a job. And then, and I was never really told who got me the job, but my suspicions are it came through the Masons. Because my family are in the Masons, and sometimes they just help one another's kids into jobs and things like that, you know. So all of a sudden then I'm called in and tell them that I have a job. And then they send me down here to the Great Northern offices right down here. And I talked to this supervisor or whatever and said, yeah, we have a job offer for you this summer. And that's to be what they call a student telegrapher. And I will go around the state to different little stations and relieve the agents for their vacations. And apparently they must do this every year all around the state in those days when the railroad was doing that. And I just had an area probably up in the northeast corner because as it turned out, they sent me to, it was just the summers. This was one summer in 1959. So it was about 3 years before you retired, I noticed. So I'm 17 years old and you're about 63 years old. And you're, you know, and so they sent me to 3 stations. They sent me to, first I think it was Poplar, Montana, up on the High Line. And they also sent me to Sunburst, which is way up there north of Great Falls. And they also sent me to Fort Benton. And it's been Fort Benton that has been the real, in fact, it's Fort Benton that brings me to you in a way, because it's that dear association with Shep and the whole story of Shep, and that's what kind of has brought me to you in a way, because we link through that, and it's a very dear link in my heart, you know. And I really do believe that we were meant to come together and meet one another, because I believe that way, you know. Well, anyway, you know, Marie and I, just yesterday, we came in here and found out we could make an appointment to see you. And so we did, and that's why it's happening right now. But it freed up that day, because we thought maybe we get to see you yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so instead of that, they gave me the appointment. And they were going to ask you if it was okay, and then they called me later and tell me if it was confirmed. And when I found out later that it was confirmed, I was just happy as hell, really. Yeah. So anyway, yesterday, after we made the appointment, but before we knew anything about it, we changed our schedule and went to Fort Benton, because I haven't seen it in 51 years. This has been 51 years since I've even, yeah, that's a long time too. So we went up there and visited the old station and took pictures. It's all, you know, it's all decayed. It's still there. It doesn't look that old because it's a kind of a nice modern building, but it's just totally neglected. And this is the first time I've been able to see the Shep thing in this new metal cutout that they've made of him up there on top of the hill. When I was there at the station, and I was filling in for the agent there, well, let's wheel it back just for the first day I got there, and the first night I had to stay there. I went down to the Grand Union Hotel. It was a dump. It was a real dump and I went down there and spent one night. And it smelled so bad, I decided to sleep in the depot. And so that saved me all that trouble of traveling. Yes, oh, they've done a wonderful job now. It's absolutely beautiful now. We saw that yesterday also for the first time. And so anyway, at the depot there then, I got all these pictures of Shep up there. My job when I worked there, I had to, besides make a yard count of all the box cars, and I passed messages to the freight trains that were going through, because there were no passenger trains. There were no trains stopped. This is 1959. There was no passenger trains, I don't think even going through there. There were only freight trains, I think. And so they would use me to pass messages. If they were moving, I'd have one of those poles with the message on a string. Remember those things? And I'd pass it to the engineer, right? And in that short period of time, I never did even attempt to learn telegraph, so they always communicated by phone with me whenever I had to pass a message. So, but of course my dearest duty there, and I also unloaded freight trucks that came into that depot. They still did freight for the town. But the dearest duty, obviously, was every night I'd turn on the lights. And at that time, they still had lights up there on the Shep cutout. It was that old wooden cutout, but you could still see a form of Shep up there. And in all that time, I mean, even that time I worked there, I never went up to the top. There was no way, really, to get up there other than climb. It's a pretty damn bad hill, you know. So, turning on those lights has connected me to the story, and being with Great Northern Railway, and it's connected me to you, and connected me to that whole subject of forever faithful, you know. And I think that's what's drawn us together. I actually think there's probably a particular thing that's true that has drawn us together, and it's probably because of the way you love and the way that you are faithful.
All right, Robert, come on.
Because that's me. That's me, and I think, well anyway, yesterday, when we visited there, right there, it's all abandoned now. It's all abandoned, and you can walk on the tracks, and near the building there, and the windows are broken. There's pigeons flying out from under the roof. It looks like a big bird cage, actually, because it's totally abandoned. Well, anyway, I was there walking in front of the station and the tracks there, and there was a lot of junk and things on the track. And I found this railroad tie that would have held the tracks down. Right.
Spike.
Pardon me?
Spike, a railroad spike.
A railroad, well, yeah, it's a spike that ties down the track. And it was just laying there loose, and I brought it to you as a gift. I thought, and this is right there in front of where the Shep story would have.
A bit different now. It's different today.
Is it? Have you seen what they use?
They don't use these.
Oh, they don't. Would you like this souvenir?
Concrete ties.
What are they?
Concrete.
Oh, really? Oh. You know more about me. Like I said, it's 51 years ago.
I've done a couple of these.
Oh, would you like this one?
Yeah, I'll take it.
This is from the fort, right there at the fort. Yeah. So this is actually from the Shep story, actually.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Good.
That's it.
Now, you know, there's something I'd like to know about you. What did you do on the railroad all those years? What were your jobs?
I worked at the yard where they make up the trains.
Uh-huh.
You know, when the train comes in from the coast, you have to check all the way bills to see if they're going in the right direction.
Okay.
And when you run the train out, especially when they had steam engines.
Right.
And to figure that out because they could only hold so many cars. After the diesels come in, it made a lot of difference. All the difference in the world.
What yards did you work in?
The Great Northern Yard.
But here in Great Falls?
Yeah.
Did you work in that yard?
Well, hired out in Minnesota.
Oh, you hired in Minnesota, and then you...
1913.
Oh yeah, that's when
And
you
they sent
started.
me here in 18. I've been
1918?
I worked over in Butte for 2 years. During 1919, during the Depression.
I heard you married your wife in Butte. Is that what I read?
She was a railroad telegrapher.
Oh, she was? That's wild, because I mean, that's the job I had. I was called an agent telegrapher, but I couldn't. She was a telegrapher. Oh, be darned. That's amazing. But you've worked in this yard, huh? You know, we were just in Wolf Creek.
Retired in 63.
Right. Now, I'm going to bring up a name because in the letter I wrote you, I mentioned one name that's connected with Fort Benton, and it's actually connected with the Shep story. Do you happen to remember a name of Homer Bain?
Homer Bain, I see him right now.
Oh my God, you know Homer Bain.
Well, you know him. His brother was chief of police here too.
Absolutely, Clayton Bain.
Yeah.
Right.
He quit and went to work for the state.
Right. Right.
So many years.
God love you. You're right on the ball.
Sure.
It's just amazing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Homer Bain is. I mean, yeah, Homer Bain. Here I'm getting confused myself. My mind is still in Clayton. Homer Bain, as I understand it, I found this out much later from his daughter, that he was, as I understand it, he was the conductor on the train that actually hit Shep. It took Shep to the other side, you know. And when I found that out, I said, oh, wow, that's really special. Because my aunt, she's married to one of my Trottick uncles, Shirley Trottick. Her dad was Homer Bain. And as a younger girl here in the night, to see that the train hit him in 42. So she remembers, because by then Shep was a real story and a celebrity, and she was really sad.
The one that made that story possible was Ed Shields.
Ed Shields, right? I know that story. That was he a conductor too? Huh? From what I understand, I've seen that book.
He was mayor at that time.
Is that right?
Mayor.
Oh wow. Well, anyway.